Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
What's up today, everybody? How are we all doing on this Monday morning? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12 Ounce Sports. This is my 137th show today we are doing here, and I cannot be more excited to get today started. And I hope you all enjoyed your wonderful weekend. And we have our AFC and NFC championship game set. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot wait for it to begin. But let's start and recap it with today. But before I do, use promo code 12Ounce Sports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for MyBookie. Let's start with this. The old history, Tom Brady and Drew Brees. The play that changed the game yesterday was when the Saints were up 20-13. Jared Cook catches a pass from Drew Brees. Antoine Winfield forces a fumble. Then Leonard Fournette scores a touchdown. And then the Buccaneers went and scored 17 straight points to win 30-20. The Buccaneers defense won them that game yesterday. And so did Tom Brady's turnover-less game. And he didn't self-destruct like Drew Brees in that offense did. Michael Thomas, 0 catches. Did not have a single catch. No. Mike Evans was held to 3 yards, but he had a touchdown, his only reception in the game in the second quarter, Marshawn Lattimore. Turnover battle, and it always happens, is the difference between winning and losing in the playoffs. That's the only reason why the Buccaneers came out on top. Yeah, you could say Brady's back in the the NFC championship game. And Drew Brees lost again in the playoffs, which is all true. But what's also true is that when you never win the turnover battle, you're always going to lose. That's why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won and the New Orleans Saints lost. And if you want to say to me this morning that's not why they won, then go watch a different sport, because I don't know what in the high seas you were watching. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers deserve to be here in this spot, and the New Orleans Saints deserve to be going home. But truth be told, after that game was over, it was more about friendship relationship with Tom Brady and Drew Brees talking it out because it was Brees' last game. The heart and soul of the New Orleans Saints all these years, because he's heading now into the sunset, going to start his broadcasting career, and he told Jameis Winston, this is your team now. And the thing is, Jameis Winston might have played better than Brees and Brady yesterday. He had that 56-yard touchdown to Tyquan Smith on the same exact play call that the Chicago Bears missed with Mitch Trubisky to Javon Wims a week earlier. So as they say, it's a copycat league. I get all of it. But let me also say this. The New Orleans Saints have self-destructed when the pressure mounts the most, and I don't know why. But the Buccaneers have not been in the playoffs since 2008, and they're in the NFC Championship game because of Tom Brady. Also, they've not been in the NFC Championship game since 2002. And that was when they won the Super Bowl. Let me just say this, and I don't want to spoil anything for Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans this morning. Remember when, a couple of years ago, when the Minnesota Vikings reached the NFC Championship game on the road after the Stephon Diggs miracle play against New Orleans Saints? Don't y'all forget that the Super Bowl was played in Minnesota, but the Vikings had to go on the road in the NFC Championship game and got shellacked by the Eagles. Well, I don't want to have to put any down into anybody Tampa Bay fans this morning, but here we are once again, deja vu. Couple years later, Tampa Bay's hosted the Super Bowl, but Tampa Bay has to go on the road for the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field, Aaron Rodgers, and there's going to be a ton of headlines with that one. And I don't want to say the Buccaneers are going to get blown out like the Vikings did against the Eagles, because that I don't see happening. Because they could lose, but I don't also want to ruin the parade on the Bucs fans either. Tampa Bay's been starving for good football for a long time, and finally, in win now mode, here we are. This is where the Buccaneers fans are at this point in time, wanting to win the football game. That's what they want to do. All they want to do is win, 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 win. That's why you brought in Tom Brady, to win a Super Bowl. They're not looking for 2, 3, 4, 5. They're just looking for that precious one. That's all they're asking. I know Tom Brady's thinking every year, sign his 2-year contract, he wants to maybe go back to back if they get to that opportunity. Buccaneers fans want the one. Because it feels like an eternity, but in reality it isn't. All right. So with this 30-21 for Tampa Bay over New Orleans, Tom Brady 18 to 33, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 5 for 21. 2 yards rushing on 5 carries and a touchdown. Leonard Fournette 63 yards rushing, 17 carries, 5 for 44 and a touchdown. I gotta say, he stepped up his game in the playoffs. Ronald Jones 13 for 62, Cameron Brate 4 for 50, Chris Godwin 4 for 34. He's got bricks for hands. Sheesh. Scotty Miller, 1 for 29. Tyler Johnson, 1 for 15. Rob Gronkowski, 1 for 14. Antonio Brown, 1 for 10. He hurt his knee. Really did not return the game. Mike Evans, 3-yard touchdown reception in the second quarter. Marshawn Lattimore got a lot of him in this football game. So Drew Brees, 19 to 34. For 134 yards, one interception. He rushed for 3 yards, 2 carries. Jameis Winston had 56-yard touchdown pass second quarter to Traquan Smith. Alvin Kamara, 85 yards rushing, 18 carries, 3 for 20 receiving. Ty Montgomery, 4 for 14 rushing, 1 for 11 receiving. Dwayne Washington, 1 for 2 rushing. Traquan Smith, 3 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. Emmanuel Sanders, 6 for 48. Jared Cook, 5 for 28. As I said about Michael Thomas, he did not have a single catch. Well, my friends, is this the same old Browns? Or is this completely different? Well, I'm going to say for now it's the same old Browns, and I'm going to tell you why. The Cleveland Browns, in the first half yesterday, were trailing 16-3. And yesterday was January 17th. January 17th, over 30 years ago, against the Denver Broncos, was the fumble. And what happened in the first half? The fumble out of the back of the end zone. Rashard Higgins tried to reach the pylon, and it just so happened to be it. How much did the Cleveland Browns lose to the Denver Broncos by then? 5 points. How much did the Browns lose to the Chiefs yesterday? 5 points. Yes. Yes, it's the same old Cleveland Browns. And I know I'm probably being a little harsh. Sorry, Beck. And let's just face reality. Had Patrick Mahomes not gotten a concussion, the Browns wouldn't have even been in the game. It took a Patrick Mahomes injury to keep this thing even close. That's what it took. And the Cleveland Browns, yeah, I know they got to the AFC divisional round, but they're farther than people think they are. And they need help on defense, but Baker Mayfield is the answer at quarterback, and so is head coach Kevin Stefanski. That's figured out. Go fix your defense. Your secondary, your linebackers, go fix it. You also need someone else to go alongside Myles Garrett. That's what you got to do this offseason, you the Cleveland Browns. So the Cleveland Browns won a playoff game. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, Pittsburgh Steelers fans have to be salty about it and brag that they have a higher draft pick than the Cleveland Browns or the Baltimore Ravens. That's just very typical Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Is that how you're going to feel, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Give yourselves a round of applause. Because you're going to be drafting top 10, top 15 every year for the next 5 years when you guys stink on offense, when you have to let go of Mike Tomlin at some point. And sorry, your franchise is heading in the wrong direction. Just happen to be a lucky 11-0 team and just happen to make the playoffs. The age of New England Patriots. What happened to the Patriots this year to make the playoffs? You're not going to make the playoffs next year because Pittsburgh won't make the playoffs and Cleveland and Baltimore probably will. Cincinnati might even be better than you guys next year. But now let me get back to the other story of Patrick Mahomes. So Chad Henne, I thought was going to cost him the game yesterday, and there's a reason why backups are backups. But on a 4th and inches play, Chad Henne, Eric Bieniemy, and Andy Reid roll the dice, pick up the first down by Tyreek Hill, and that's all she wrote. There's always Kansas City always puts more drama on themselves than they need to. But it's the way it is, and Kansas City and Buffalo are meeting in the AFC Championship game, and the last time these two teams met in the playoffs, 1994, Buffalo beat Kansas City. Google eyes? Google eyes? Anyone to keep an eye on that one? Google eyes. That's the phrase we need to keep an eye on when it comes to that this week. Keep an eye out on Buffalo, Kansas City. So, and another thing, Kansas City's hosting the AFC Championship game for the 3rd consecutive season. When's the last time someone hosted a championship game for 3 consecutive seasons? Oh, Andy Reid did it in the NFC with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2002 to 2004. That's pretty impressive. Despite having won Super Bowl, shows you how great of a head coach Andy Reid is. And I guess that's the way the Chiefs operate because they're very good talent-wise and a plethora of weapons. But still don't give me the nonsense that any quarterback can win with those weapons because, Chad Henne almost lost in that game. Remember when they had Alex Smith? But people, Alex Smith can win with those weapons. Couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans without Travis Kelce and blew a 19-0 lead a few years ago with Marcus Mariota and Mike Mularkey in the Tennessee Titans. So don't give me that. And this is why Patrick Mahomes means more than anything to Kansas City. So he completed 21 of 30 passes for 255 yards and 1 touchdown and rushed for 14 yards and 3 carries and a touchdown in a 22-17 win over Cleveland Browns. For the Kansas City Chiefs in the concussion protocol, we'll see how the week progresses with him. Chad Henne completed 6 of 8 passes for 66 yards and 1 interception. He also rushed for 12 yards on 2 carries. Darren Williams rushed for 78 yards on 13 carries. He also caught 4 passes for 16 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill caught 8 passes for 110 yards receiving. He also rushed for 9 yards on 3 carries. Travis Kelce caught 8 passes for 109 yards receiving and a touchdown. Mecole Hardman Jr. caught 4 passes for 58 yards receiving. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Sammy Watkins were out of this football game due to injury. Baker Mayfield completed 23 of 37 passes, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I thought he played very well yesterday. He also rushed for 11 yards on 3 carries. Nick Chubb rushed for 69 yards on 13 carries. He also caught 2 passes for 4 yards receiving. Kareem Hunt rushed for 32 yards on 6 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 1 pass for 2 yards receiving. Rashard Higgins, 5 for 88 receiving. David Njoku, 4 for 59. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 1 for 23. Jarvis Landry, 7 for 20. Austin Hooper, 2 passes for 16 yards receiving. He does the Cleveland area code, the 216. So he does the 216 area code for it. And now I'm moving on from the 216 and the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes. How about them Baltimore Ravens going down to the Buffalo Bills 17-3? Sheesh. And the Ravens can only score 3 points. The play of the game and the defining moment of the Buffalo Bills' potential wild ride season continues was when Buffalo was up 10-3, Baltimore's in the red zone. Tyrod Johnson picks off Lamar Jackson, and it goes 101 yards the other way for a touchdown. Ooh, that burns. I'm like, oh boy. That's not something I'm used to seeing. And I know Lamar Jackson's a good regular season quarterback, but in the playoffs, it's kind of different. I know he doesn't have really any outside receivers. In order for that passing game to get to the next level, they're going to have to get some wide receivers. Des Bryant, good story for him that he was able to get back to the league, but he's not the answer. Marquise Brown's a good number 2. He's not a number 1. So they need an Allen Robinson II, or they need some other pieces to go along with Lamar Jackson. And also the special running game with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Their defense is bona fide and it's solidified. I like that defense. You just got to get some playmakers on the outside. And that's what wins in today's NFL wide receivers. Offense wins championships. Don't give me this defense wins championships nonsense. Because let's see who's in the championship games. What does Kansas City rely on? Offense. Buffalo. Offense. Green Bay. Offense. Tampa Bay. Wait a minute. They're an offensive juggernaut. Wait a second. All 4 of those teams in the championship game. Wait a second. Offensive firepower house driven. Don't give me this defense nonsense. And yeah, I know the Buffalo Bills defense deserves credit for shutting down Lamar Jackson. But the Baltimore Ravens defense kind of shut down Josh Allen. But why didn't you win the game? That's right. Your offense was not a juggernaut, and it was not an offensive juggernaut all year. No offense, no championship anymore. I'm sorry, truth be told. The Denver Broncos 2015 seemed to be the outlier in all this. When Peyton Manning was on his last legs and couldn't throw a duck, even to save his life for it. That's what it came down to. Heroics of that Denver Broncos defense. And that New England Patriots defense a couple years ago won them that Super Bowl. Yeah, I know I just uttered those stinking words right out of my mouth, and I should be ashamed for myself for saying it on live air. I deserve everything I just said. But let me also say this. It is an offensive league, and if you can't score in the end zone, you ain't gonna win in today's NFL. Baltimore, step up your receiving game, because if you don't step up your receiving game, you ain't stiff in the Super Bowl, let alone winning many playoff games in the Lamar Jackson era. Because, offense, baby. You can stop them enough times, but if you don't score enough times, you ain't gonna win. It's as simple as that. I'm telling you this. The Buffalo Bills are going to score more than 17 points on Sunday against Kansas City. I'm telling you that right now. They're going to score more than 17, and Baltimore can watch that popcorn AFC Championship game. It's going to depend whether Patrick Mahomes plays or not due to concussion protocol. And Josh Allen played turnover-free football, and once again, that's the difference in the game. Turnover-free football, and Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals, and also Lamar Jackson got hurt with a concussion. And Tyler Huntley didn't play bad, but he also missed Marquise Brown on a wide open potential touchdown. But the wind was absolutely and terribly horrific in Buffalo, New York, on Lake Erie. So the Buffalo Bills took down Baltimore Ravens by a final score of 17-3. I mentioned about the Lamar Jackson threw a pick six to the corner, and Taron Johnson took it 101 yards for a touchdown. Josh Allen completed 23 of 37 passes for 206 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 3 yards on 7 carries. Devin Singletary rushed for 25 yards on 7 carries. He also caught 3 for 12 receiving. Stephon Diggs, 8 for 106 and a touchdown. John Brown, 8 for 62 yards receiving. Dawson Knox, 2 for 18. Lamar Jackson completed 14 to 24 passes for 162 yards and 1 interception. He also rushed for 34 yards and 9 carries. Tyler Huntley completed 6 of 13 passes for 60 yards. He also rushed for 32 yards and 3 carries. Gus Edwards rushed for 42 yards and 10 carries. J.K. Dobbins rushed for 42 yards and 10 carries. He also caught 3 passes for 51 yards receiving. Marquise Brown, 4 for 87 yards receiving. Mark Andrews, 4 for 28. Willie Snead IV, 5 for 25. Miles Boykin, 3 for 20. Patrick Ricard, 1 for 11 yards receiving. So here comes that bad man Aaron Rodgers, and he helped the Green Bay Packers take down the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC divisional round by a final score of 32-18? Here's the thing about the Green Bay Packers. They ran the football efficiently, dominated the line of scrimmage, and Aaron Rodgers was kept clean all game. The Green Bay Packers deserve to be in the NFC Championship game for the second consecutive season. Matt LaFleur, 13-3 both years, got in the NFC Championship game, but they lost on the road last year to the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm expecting it, and this is the first time since 2008 that the Green Bay Packers will be hosting the NFC Championship game, and the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career that he will be at home for it. He's been on the road for it a few times, in Chicago, in Seattle, and San Francisco, and now he's able to be in one at home against Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers. So in that last time that Green Bay hosted the NFC Championship game back in 2008, remember the frozen tundra, Tom Coughlin's face of the New York Giants was basically frozen. Lawrence Tynes was kicking rocks. Wasn't a football. His foot was like bruised in that game. That was something. 23-20 overtime win for the New York Giants. Brett Favre throws the interception right into Corey Webster's hands. Eli Manning was the quarterback of that team then. And hopefully it's different this time around for the Green Bay Packers and the Cheesehead faithful. So the Green Bay Packers are probably going to be the favorites in this game. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be on a downright mission to get them to the Super Bowl. Green Bay got slaughtered 38-10 against Tampa Bay in its last matchup. And don't you think, not for 1 second, that Aaron Rodgers wants this game extremely badly. He's going to hear the chirps. He's going to hear the talks all week of how Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. How Tom Brady's this, how Tom Brady's that. And Aaron Rodgers is going to get sick of the nonsense. You just woke the polar bear from his hibernation nap. This is what's going to happen this weekend with Aaron Rodgers. The hibernation, he's been woke from hibernation. And I'm telling you right now, do not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers goes off for 400 yards on Sunday. Don't say I didn't warn you at first. Aaron Rodgers is on a downright mission and wants this badly. But the Green Bay Packers are also playing a very dangerous game if they make the Super Bowl. And bad news for you fans, and assuming Rodgers wins this MVP, the last time a MVP won the Super Bowl, 1999, Kurt Warner with the Los Angeles Rams against the Tennessee Titans. That's the last time an MVP won the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan with the Falcons lost. Tom Brady with the Patriots lost it a couple of times. Cam Newton with the Panthers lost. That's a dangerous game the Packers are playing. But it's better to make it to the Super Bowl and lose it and not make it at all. But maybe Rodgers will rewrite his own history. And this is why Rodgers' legacy could forever be cemented. And some people will say he's even greater than Tom Brady if he's able to A, knock him off in the lone playoff appearance against him, and B, win the Super Bowl along with an MVP, something that has not been done since 1999. Keep that in mind. Something that has not been done in a very long time. And as for the Los Angeles Rams, they had a very good season. I was surprised they made it this far. But their defense was very good. And it's all because of defense coordinator Brandon Staley, who got hired by the Los Angeles Chargers, their next head coach. And I'm going to get to the coaching carousels later on this show. So, for the Green Bay Packers, they're still marching. They're in the NFC Championship game. And Los Angeles Rams lose. And we'll see if Jared Goff is their starting quarterback next year and into the future as well. So, in the 32-18 win for Green Bay over Los Angeles. So, 23-36 passes completed for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers. And he's the Harvey Hartzell of the Green Bay Packers simply because he's everything to that franchise and that organization. And you could say them drafting Jordan Love was a spark and an igniting fire under his rear end. So, the running game, as I said, helped him out. And Rodgers had a 1-yard rushing touchdown in the second quarter. Aaron Jones, 99 yards rushing on 14 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 1 pass for 14 yards receiving. Jamal Williams rushed for 65 yards on 12 carries. A.J. Dillon rushed for 27 yards on 6 carries. Devontae Adams, 9 for 66 and a touchdown. Alan Lazard, he caught 4 passes for 96 yards, receiving a touchdown. He also had a huge touchdown drive that swung the momentum back to the Rams for a little bit until he caught that big touchdown late in the game. And then Robert Tonyan, 4 for 40 receiving. Jared Goff completed 21 to 27 passes for 174 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 6 yards on 1 carry. Cam Akers rushed for 90 yards on 18 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 1 pass for 6 yards receiving. Josh Reynolds caught 3 passes for 65 yards receiving. Robert Woods caught 8 passes for 48 yards receiving. Van Jefferson, 6 for 46 receiving touchdown. Tyler Higbee, 2 for 5. Malcolm Brown, 1 for 4 receiving. And Cooper Kupp was held out of his game due to an injury. Use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. So I'm going to move off the NFL for a little bit. I'm going to get into some NHL here. So, before all the NFL games started yesterday, I always like watching the Sunday afternoon hockey on NBC, and especially when it's your own team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's like, you can watch the game and it'd be done and over with. Games done over around 3 o'clock. And it was a good battle between the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it didn't have the same feel without fans. Maybe, and you know what I realized yesterday? There was like no skirmishes, there was no nothing. Wanna know what maybe starts the skirmishes and all this stuff? Maybe the fans! Maybe it's the fans that ignite this rivalry between Washington and Pittsburgh. And I'm just thinking that now, like, there were no fights really yesterday. It was a clean game. There was nothing dirty. Tom Wilson was under control. So was TJ Oshie. And usually the Capitals are running and charging guys. No one at Pittsburgh was really running anyone at Washington either. Really wasn't the case. But there was also a controversial goal yesterday that I keep bugging my uncle about. And I keep telling him to watch the replay. And he just doesn't want to listen to me on it. Because it was a clear and obvious goal. And Cody Jansen, I don't know if you can help me out here with it. Or maybe you can watch the replay on that goal that tied the game at 2 yesterday. The goal that tied the game at 2 was just 2:10 in the second period by Colton Scavarier and assisted by Teddy Bluger. So the controversy of it was did it hit the crossbar or not? First of all, on that goal, it didn't even touch red. The puck does not even touch red crossbar. The puck clearly goes in the back of the net because it touches the security camera, which is clearly in the net, which is clearly over the goal line. That's number one. Why that's a good goal. Number two, if it was not a good goal, you would have seen Peter Laviolette, you would have seen Alexander Ovechkin, you would have seen Ilya Samsonov up in arms about it, and they were simply not up in arms about it. The team that would have been up in arms, it was no goal, was Pittsburgh. And both parties were happy. I'm not saying Washington was happy to give up the goal, but they weren't complaining that the goal was scored because that was the right call on the ice. Because there are a couple angles that showed it, and my uncle's like, oh, what's the point of replay not happening? You're not going to get the call correct. There are angles that show that it's a good goal. No, it does not touch any red. The security camera is in the back of the net, and it touches the back of the net. It does not touch any red. It touches white. Tell me on the instant replay if it touches any red. For all you hockey fans. It does not touch any red whatsoever on the back of the net. It doesn't. It did not touch any red. It touches all white. And if you can't see that, let me tell you something. Go get your eyes checked if you can't see it. That's all I got to explain to you. And I got pretty good vision for myself. If you simply cannot see that hit the camera and not the crossbar, go get your eyes checked. That's all I got to say on that. And for the most part, it's a huge win for Pittsburgh because you don't fall 0-3. You get 2 points on the board. Washington was 2-0 with 4 points entering this game. Washington did its job. You'll get a point out of the game. You play 3 games in 4 nights. You're like, okay, we could have gotten 2 points. But 1 point in the standing ain't going to hurt us at the end of the day. 1 loss. It's an over shootout loss to a very good hockey team on the road on a Sunday afternoon. We showed up to play. We didn't fall and roll over. We didn't lay and give in. We played hard all 60, 65 minutes. It's just that the shootout by Evgeny Kuznetsov, TJ Oshie, Alex Xander Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, I gotta say, for the most part, was actually pretty weak on their part. I was disappointed in them. Where's the rocket shots? Why are you getting too close to Casey DeSmith? And on the advice of Pittsburgh, with Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, why in the high seas are you going low on Ilya Samsonov? He's not something special. Why? The scouting report is there. You got to shoot it high, and that's how you scored your goals. Jake Gunsel, who happened to score the shootout winner, just happened to get lucky that Ilya Samsonov opened his pads a little bit too much, and that's how they won the game. And they'll play each other tomorrow night, again at PPG Pitch Arena. Pittsburgh, I'll watch that, because I have NBC Sports Washington, and that was a treat, the perfect appetizer for yesterday, and that was a pretty good game by both sides. I'm so excited for 7 more of these meetings. So in this matchup, in that 4-3 win by Pittsburgh, with the Jake Gunsel goal on Ilya Samsonov, Alex Ovechkin was stopped by Casey DeSmith. The RPR to the Washington Capitals, and then here we go. Let's see. Just 19 seconds to the hockey game. Evan Rodriguez scored a goal for Pittsburgh, assisted by Brian Doolin and Jake Gunsel, the fastest goal scored for Pittsburgh since 2015 in the game. Washington struck twice in the first period by Nick Dow, 12-4 mark, and Alex Ovechkin, 14-24 mark, assist by Evgeny Kuznetsov and Tom Wilson, and that's Ovechkin's 707th career NHL goal. And I mentioned about the Colton Scavira goal, 2:10 in the second period, assist by Teddy Blueger, 2:10 in. At the 10:09 mark, second period, Washington Capitals power play goal scored by Nicholas Backstrom, assisted by Evgeny Kuznetsov and Alex Ovechkin. And the Penguins tied the game at 3 at the 12:57 mark in the second period on a goal scored by Marcus Pettersson, assisted by Jason Zucker, Brian Rust. They might be getting Kasperi Kapanen back tomorrow. Ilya Samsonov finished the game with 24 saves for the Washington Capitals. Vitek Vanacek was the backup for Washington. He may start tomorrow. Casey DeSmith finished with 26 for Pittsburgh Penguins. Mike Sullivan probably rolls with him tomorrow. Tristan Jarry was the backup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. These two hockey teams will face each other again on Tuesday night at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So moving on to my next segment, let's get into the NHL. Not the NHL, the NFL head coaching gigs and their coaching hires. So, the first hire that happened was Jacksonville Jaguars hiring Urban Meyer as their next head coach. Now, this is a very interesting move by Jacksonville. You get a college coach, he's been in the broadcast booth for a few years, his health has been the downfall of him, but he's not going to be running wild like he used to be at Ohio State. Let me just say this about Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence are going to be a very, very interesting dynamic duo. Assuming Urban Meyer goes with Trevor Lawrence in the NFL draft. Excuse me. So, Jacksonville, in the AFC South, and you don't know what's going to happen every year. You got the Indianapolis Colts, Tennessee Titans, and the Houston Texans. In Houston, it's probably just the biggest dysfunction of all now. And Jacksonville has 2 1s and 2 2s. So let's see how Jacksonville puts it to good use and how they'll build around Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer is going to want to hire very good assistants. Raheem Morris is one of the names available, the defensive coordinator for the Ohio, who used to coach the Atlanta Falcons, was the interim head coach, and now he might be a defense coordinator for them, and I am curious to see how this is going to work in Jacksonville. I think it's a good hire. I give this hire a B. The next hiring, the New York Jets hire Robert Saleh as their next head coach of the New York Jets. This is a tremendous move for the New York Jets, and they have already announced they are going to be keeping Sam Darnold around for the immediate future, which means, translation, the number 2 pick is up for sale. And the New York Jets could get a boatload of draft picks and even more draft capital if General Manager Joe Douglas wants to. If he does want to sell the number 2 pick and help continue to build around Sam Darnold, then the New York Jets in a year or 2 are going to be relevant again. But it could be the same old story tell again like the Cleveland Browns and the same old Browns. The Jets are still the Jets. And the New York Giants will always run New York, whether you like to admit it or not. And Robert Saleh is a leader of men. He was prepared for his interview, and he was the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, and cornerback Richard Sherman is completely praised with the way he works hard and the way his work ethic is and his attention to detail is week in and week out, because San Francisco had a boatload of injuries this past season, and they were still a top 10 defense, let alone that defense was one of the reasons why they got to the Super Bowl. The New York Jets, this may not work for them. But I'm going to say this. The New York Jets are at least swinging for the fences and trying. You know what they say? 100% of the shots, if you don't take... Never mind, scratch the phrase. Scratch the phrase. So, I like what the New York Jets are doing and hiring Robert Saleh. Some guys are just meant to be coordinators, but some guys are also meant to be good head coaches. And a good thing for the New York Jets is that they're bringing Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers to help Sam Darnold. He has Matt LaFleur's brother, the Green Bay Packers head coach. And the Jets, I guess you could say, are off and running in the words of John Forsland, right? Of NBC Sports. So let me move on from the next New York Jets. Arthur Smith hired as the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this was a very good hire for Atlanta. Why do I like the hire? Number one, Arthur Smith has been in the NFL for over a decade. He has worked his way up the ladder chart to get to this opportunity. He was a quarterback's coach, then he was an offensive coordinator, and then he's now a head coach. Arthur Smith is one of the bright young offensive minds in the NFL. He fixed Ryan Tannehill overnight. He's a run-first coach. He did it with Derrick Henry. And he sets up play action. And I think this is going to benefit Matt Ryan well for a year or two. Now, with the new head coach in Arthur Smith, and now you have a new general manager, what are you willing to do with the number 4 pick in the 2021 NFL draft? Because I don't think you're going to get this high again for a while. If you're Arthur Smith, do you go Zach Wilson of BYU or Justin Fields of Ohio State? And if I was Arthur Smith, I would go Zach Wilson of BYU. Very similar to Ryan Tannehill. He's got the mobility of Ryan Tannehill. He's got the accuracy like him. He knows how to look off his receivers. You can run read options with him. And I like his decision making a lot better, Zach Wilson, than I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to slip. I think Wilson of BYU is a better quarterback prospect than Fields is of Ohio State. I really believe it. I truly believe that Arthur Smith's going to get his guy. I don't know if he's going to start from day one, but he's going to develop him, he's going to polish him, and there's going to be stability there like they did with Dan Quinn, had him for a few years. And they should have won that Super Bowl against New England Patriots. You blow that 28-3 lead. But don't even get me started. That's a clean new slate for Atlanta. And Dan Quinn got hired as the new defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm curious to see who Arthur Smith is going to bring in on his coaching staff. We'll see who he brings in as his offensive coordinator. And we'll see how this roster develops over time. But the Atlanta Falcons, I gotta say, had a very good hire. I think the Jets an A+ hire with Salah. I gave the Jaguars a B. Smith, I'll give the Atlanta Falcons an A-. So finally, it's an offensive coach, not a defensive coach. It's an offensive league. But it will be interesting to see how Arthur Smith does with Atlanta. He lives in Tennessee, so Georgia's not far away from Tennessee. He's a Southern guy. This made all the sense in the world for Arthur Smith. Gotta give credit where credit's due to Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports 1. He called this one from day one. I thought Arthur Smith would have been a good fit with the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. I thought that would have been a better fit. But maybe getting a new quarterback along to develop behind Matt Ryan will be very good in years to come for Atlanta. So that was a good hire by the Atlanta Falcons. So now moving on from the Atlanta Falcons, Dan Campbell hired as the next head coach of the Detroit Lions. I'll give this hire a C. I know he was an assistant head coach to Sean Payton, and he was also the tight ends coach for the New Orleans Saints. Some people like this hire, but I am not sold on this Detroit Lions hire. There is always one hire. Every single time, there is always a whiff. And I'm telling you right now, this is the whiff, and it's going to be the same old story with the Detroit Lions franchise. I do not like this hire by Detroit. There are better candidates out there, and I know Dan Campbell has been around the NFL and around the game of football for a long time, and I heard he's a well-respected man. And it looks like he has a tough ego and persona about him, which may be what Detroit needs. But that was kind of also the thing with Matt Patricia. He tried to be a wannabe Bill Belichick, and you saw how that happened, and they should have never got rid of Jim Caldwell in the first place. And I'm sorry. I'd like to congratulate Dan Campbell on getting a chance to be a head coach. It's good for him and his family to get that opportunity. At the same time, there's always that one hire that I question, and it's this one. And I know Campbell proves me wrong. But at the same time, we should know what the Detroit Lions are constantly year in and year out. Another laughingstock in the NFL. It's what the Detroit Lions are. And there is no way on this planet Earth that I truly like this hire by them. I mean, there were better candidates out there. I for sure thought Salah was going to get the Lions job. And then they come down to Campbell? Vey. I'm really not sold on this one. I'll give it a C. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give him a chance. After Dan Campbell got hired by the Lions as next head coach, this was the shocker tonight after all the games were over this weekend. So Ian Rappaport of NFL Network said Brandon Staley is hired to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now this is the shocker of them all. This, to me, is the biggest shock, and I'm going to explain to you why. Number one, I had no idea that Brandon Staley was even getting requested to be interviewed as a head coach. I thought he was going to be a hot name for next season. I thought he was going to have another year with the Los Angeles Rams, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. That's what I thought was going to happen. No. The Chargers, give them credit where credit's due for keeping this under wraps. They're like, you know what? This guy's impressive. He was in our own backyard the entire year. Let's snatch him now before anyone snatches him up. A young, bright football mind. A young version of Sean McVay. And he will demand the respect of the room. And he's got a lot of pieces to deal with the Chargers. Young talent like Joey Bosa and Derwin James, and maybe they could get Melvin Ingram. They're going to try and be a defensive-minded team because they got an offensive talent with Justin Herbert. And there's no questions asked about that one. There is offensive talent for sure in Los Angeles. It's just that defense needs physicality and an edge to them. Because there are rumors the potential offensive coordinator that the Chargers are going after is Doug Peterson of the Los Angeles Chargers. That's the name I'm here. Or recently just got fired by the Philadelphia Eagles, excuse me. Those are the names that I am hearing to potentially be the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. Maybe Staley is the defensive coordinator. Maybe he hires someone. But the Chargers are now, maybe by default, coaching at least the second best team in the AFC West. I don't like John Gruden and the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't like Vic Fangio and the Denver Broncos either. I think the Chargers made a bold hire. You know what I think I could see this very well being? What the New York Giants did last year. When the New York Giants hired Joe Judge, when they thought they were going to go Matt Rule, and New York Giants fans were upset. They didn't go with Matt Rule, but Joe Judge is the guy. And look at what's going on now with New York. This is the key. And I totally believe that this is where it's going with Brandon Staley. That's how I feel about the Chargers hiring Brandon Staley. So there are still 2 openings available. Philadelphia Eagles and the Houston Texans. I'm not surprised those jobs aren't filled yet. Because to me, poor ownership, the 2 least desirable jobs. And there is one interesting name for the Philadelphia Eagles job that I see. And what an utter laughingstock if he gets hired. Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator of New England Patriots, he turned down the Indianapolis Colts job, and Frank Reich, the former offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, took that job. And look at it now. It was a better decision by Indianapolis. McDaniels would have been fine already. The Eagles are just asking for more dysfunction if they hire Josh McDaniels. That's going to be terrible. I'll laugh. I'm not going to feel sorry for the Eagles and their pitiful fan base. They got what they deserve. That's what you get when you tank. You know the old phrase, as I said, karma's the B word. I always say it. Karma is the B word. That's what I got to say. And the Houston Texans, maybe they hire Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of Kansas City Chiefs. But as they say, someone's got to take that job. Someone's got to take that position. And I'm going to transition into this. Speaking of the Houston Texans, does Deshaun Watson want out? But before I could get into Deshaun Watson wants out, use promo code 12OunceSports. All cash with deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. We're live on 12 Ounce Sports. Thanks to Cody Jensen and JB Beck and Pete and whoever else make this radio station spectacular. And I was listening to Beck's show on Friday, and it was great. And he thanked everyone for contributing to the station. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Beck. And last thing before I continue is that I called into Beck's show on Friday, and I told him about the Pittsburgh Penguins and all that stuff. He was thrilled that I called into the show, and someone else on the group chat was like, Glenn, I was going to do that. And Beck's like, I appreciate you calling in, Glenn. It's like, it was very great. It was very spectacular. I enjoyed it. Maybe some point down the road, maybe we'll have callers into my show. And oh boy, that could be a ruckus. Or maybe it could go out of control. We'll see. Maybe that's a long, hard thought. Look, I could get overly constant complainers about it. But we'll see what happens in the immediate future. Now let's get back to Deshaun Watson. He wants out of Houston. He's played his last snap. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN has said it. He thinks that Watson has the leverage, and also ESPN's Adam Schefter has said the same thing today. And today, we will have more information on it. But this goes beyond today and tomorrow. It's going to go on the entire offseason. So where can Deshaun Watson get traded to? NFC East. He could maybe go to the Washington football team or the New York Giants. But the Giants are committed to Daniel Jones. And Washington, they have to have discussions with Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke and management Ron Rivera and Dan Snyder as well. Maybe Dallas Cowboys. NFC North, Chicago Bears. Get rid of Mitchell Trubisky. Next up, NFC West, San Francisco 49ers. NFC South, with Drew Brees retiring, I think they're going to stick with Jameis Winston. But Deshaun Watson couldn't hurt. Carolina Panthers, I don't know. I think they're building something nice there. Carolina would be an intriguing option. Now, moving on from the Carolina Panthers. Let's go to the AFC. I don't think he wants to go to the New York Jets. He doesn't want to go to another dysfunctional organization. New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins is a potential option. AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers. Him and J.J. Watt. And I know Ben Roethlisberger's coming back next year. J.J. Watt probably wants to play with his brothers. Deshaun Watson, Pittsburgh doesn't have to worry about drafting someone. Pittsburgh, remember when they traded their first-round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick? It's like getting a first-round pick, drafting a first-rounder. Do it again. Steelers, do it again. You won't regret it. And then, AFC South, Jaguars won't do it. They'll take Trevor Lawrence. Tennessee Titans, they're slow with Ryan Tannehill. Indianapolis Colts, I can't see him trading within the division. Although the future in Phillip Rivers and what's his name, Jacoby Brissett, they're both free agents. They're both not coming back. Most likely, one might retire. Brissett might go elsewhere to be a backup or maybe start for the Colts next year or compete with someone AFC West. Denver Broncos sounds interesting. I think Denver's interesting. I think Denver has some pieces. They have receivers. They have running backs. The problem with Denver is, if you put Deshaun Watson on the Denver Broncos, so you got your quarterback, you replace it with Drew Lock becomes a backup, it would be a good backup to have. You have John Elway in the organization, wasn't a good general manager, but he hired a different GM. You could definitely trade that number 9 pick. You just have to fix that offensive line a little bit. You have Philip Blitz, you have Melvin Gordon, you got 2 running backs. You have Jerry Jeudy, you have Cortland Sutton, and you have Deshaun Hamilton and KJ Hamler. You have Noah Fant at tight end. You have a solid defense. The defense is not bad. I think Denver is a very interesting option for Deshaun Watson. I don't know if he wants to go to Denver, but Denver would be a very interesting place to go. And even though you have to face Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, that may become the best division in the NFL if Deshaun Watson went to the Denver Broncos. Maybe I'll tweet Dan Orlovsky at that later and see what he says. He usually responds to my tweets from time to time. And last but not least today, Martin Luther King Jr. NBA Day games. And the one game I'm looking forward to later, Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo versus the Brooklyn Nets. I'll probably watch that on TNT, 7:30. Kyrie Irving, questionable. We'll see if he plays. James Harden and Kevin Durant, they're going to play. And Harden triple-double his Nets debut. We'll see what Giannis does. The RP of the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is going to be a fun game tonight. We'll see what happens. I think the Nets are going to win maybe 135, 123. And that's basically all I have for today. I am out of time here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and week as well, though, nonetheless. I'll be back on the air at the same time as Thursday to preview the AFC Championship game and NFC Championship game in the NFL. NFL mock draft continued. Head coaching, hirings, firings, NBA game recaps, NHL game recaps, maybe DraftKings FanDuel segments, daily fantasy segments, maybe MLB offseason. Use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie.